It's been a dream to be an author.
Cheryl Minnemaab realized that dream with the publication of her first children's book, Hungry Johnny, and today she is on hand to sign editions of her latest children's book, Johnny's Pheasant.
The process of sharing my stories is exciting and it's fun, and I'm glad when children can identify with the story and to have a little fun with it. I like to add humor to the story. So not only is it laced with a little bit of intertwined with traditional values, it also has a lot of humor in it as well. So it's fun to see the reaction of the children and hearing the story. I've always enjoyed listening to stories. There's so many stories within our culture that have been passed on orally, and I was raised by my mother and my grandmother, my sisters and my aunties. We lived a very traditional life. I feel fortunate that I had the upbringing that I did, to have spent so much time with my mom and my grandma, and all the experiences that we've had, and a lot of those people have passed on, and so the connection, how I feel, is like keeping their spirit alive.
Cheryl's inspirations for her two published works are her family, in this case, her grandmother and her brother. She's following the writer's mantra of write about what you know, while adding a bit of whimsy and fun to her stories to appeal to a younger audience.
Johnny's Pheasant is my second published book. The first book is Hungry Johnny, and these are based off of memories of my little brother Johnny and Grandma. The memory actually took place with an owl, and so the original story, I wasn't there, I was away in college at the time, but my mom and John and Grandma talked about picking up the owl from the roadside, and they thought it was had been hit by a car or something, and my mom was going to use it for crafts. She was collecting owl feathers. She was going to make a bustle, and it really did. It must have only been knocked out, and it came to, and it flew around the living room, landed on Grandma's head, and it was quite the ordeal. The process of writing the story and sharing it, there's different beliefs within, even just within Ojibwe, a lot of different opinions on the owl itself, and I wanted to be respectful to people who were raised to view owls as a bad omen. And so even though that I wasn't raised with that particular belief, I wanted to be respectful and yet still share the story and the memory and the humor in it. So I changed it to a pheasant. I wasn't quite sure about the hooting, because the owls, you think of owls hoot hoot, but I decided to keep it in there, and I thought maybe it would be funny, or somebody could maybe think a little bit more about it and think maybe the pheasant was raised by owls or something, and then I didn't know what the illustrations would bring to the story, so I kind of left it open, and it worked out very well.
The illustrator for Johnny's Pheasant is Native artist Julie Flett.
After the story was done, and sitting down with the editor at the University of Minnesota Press, he was starting to envision what the story would look like with different illustrators. And when I saw Julie Flett's work, I knew right away that's the one I wanted. Her artwork is beautiful, and it's powerful, and it's perfect for Johnny's Pheasant.
Cheryl's entry into the crowded field of children's literature is due to a lack of stories by Native authors for a Native audience, especially Native children.
I have memories of growing up and how it felt to go into the library at school and not have very many books where we were in as Native Americans, and especially children, to see ourselves in literature in a contemporary setting and to be properly represented. And so that's been a passion to contribute to children's literature as an Ojibwe, to give the opportunity for children today to see themselves in literature. The more you read, the better you become at the craft of writing. To explore different authors, different genres, and keep reading. The more you read, the more you learn. And then even just with schooling, going to school and learning the craft of writing is helpful. You can be born with certain talents, but going to school helps sharpen up those skills. I'm quite the introvert. I like staying home and listening to music and doing beadwork and writing my poetry. So the attention is a little bit overwhelming, but I feel grateful.
Partial funding for this episode of Native Report is provided by the citizens of Minnesota through the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund.